Hey guys, welcome to episode 12 of the On Deck channel. This is part 3 looking at the Leopard 50, that big beautiful boat. It's so incredible. It is such an expedition adventure machine. I can't believe how well equipped it is. In this episode, we're going to be seeing the unbelievably huge 15,000 watt Victron inverter being put on the boat with the forklift, totally nuts, as well as probably the best in-depth tour and walkthrough and project update that we've ever done on this channel. It's with both Andre and Stephen Lloyd, co-owners of the Yacht Rigger, and it is a really cool look at the systems in this boat. Let's not delay and get right into it.
So a quick update on the Leopard 50 project. We are at roughly, week 2 now? Mm-hmm. We have batteries in, the
inverters are coming in now.
Inverters are coming in.
Inverter frame is being built.
There we go, inverter frame is being built. Solar panels are on, a lot of the wiring has been run, and yeah, making good progress. Oh yeah, watermaker's underway.
It seems like all systems are taking a little bit of progress here.
Yep.
So why don't we go check out this
Yeah.
solar?
Go aboard and take a look, yeah. So we'll go up here. So panels are 90% mounted. They're actually solidly mounted to the deck at this point. We do need to do a little bit of cleanup, and Brian is actually right now just doing some final checks on the corner braces. So we're gonna do some really nice corner braces to make sure running rigging doesn't ever tangle under the panels. So those are gonna be some black anodized aluminum down legs that will basically keep the corners totally free. Right there, so where Andre's looking, every corner you see basically. But yeah, the panels are mounted, floating nicely, a nice air gap underneath them to keep them cool. And so this is 1600 watts on deck, and then aft we are gonna have another
2600, I think?
2600, yeah. 6 panels at 405 watts. No, so
24.
Yeah, just over 2400 watts will be on the stern. So it's gonna be just over a 4 kilowatt boat, along with the high output alternators that we will start working on here very, very soon. We will be putting end caps on all these rails so they look nice and clean. And just a note, we have 10 panels in total, and they're going to be wired together in pairs in parallel because this is a 48 volts in series. Thank you. See, this is why Andre's here. So the panels will be in series, wired in series, so we can get the voltage up, right, so that we can
charge the 48 volt bank.
Charge the 48 volt bank, because if the single panel is below 48 volts, charge controller won't do anything. Okay.
And there's an interesting first on this, but we're actually going to have a transfer system where the arch is going to be able to transfer to the 12 volt bank or the 48 volt bank. So that gives redundancy for the 2 different voltages and flexibility as well. So this will be a first for us and kind of exciting.
Yeah. So and we're doing how many panels on the arch in that system? 6 of them. So all 6 panels will be able to switch at the flip of a switch.
Flip of the switch, go from 12 to 24. So
and
charge 20.
Because we have 2 banks on the boat. We have a 48
Correct.
volt bank and a 12 volt bank
right.
separate, right? Yeah. Okay.
These are 160.
130. So this is American Power System. 48 volt alternator, 130 amps. There's 2 models. One's 130, the other one's 160. But this particular model, the power curve has it delivering a lot more power at a low RPM, so he doesn't have to run the engines as fast as an RPM to get really decent power. Whereas the other one, we need to spin it quite fast to get reasonable power. So these are American Power Systems. We can't announce it right now, but there's going to be some interesting new regulators being installed on this boat. Actually, the first consumer boat with these regulators. So I guess we'll be able to talk about that soon.
And we're hoping for, in terms of efficiency, these to put out somewhere in the region of
so the
70,
hot curve
80%?
has 70%. Usually the high performance alternators, I expect roughly 70% performance out of them. The stock maybe 50%.
Sure.
So I expect potentially 5,000 watts out of each alternator, hopefully more.
Yeah. 5,000 watts.
5,000 watts, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Over here we are staging and setting up for the watermaker install. So we have the Seawater Pro. It's going to produce about 40 gallons an hour. So really nice high output, drawing somewhere in the region of 950 watts. Is that right? I feel like that's the number. Yeah. So from his 48 volt bank with this solar, I mean, he's going to be throwing tons of charge back into the system while he's making water and probably running the air conditioner at the same time. Yeah. So this, we can show you down below where this is going to go, and it's awesome. There's so much space on this boat that we can do our installs really nice and clean. And of course, here's the control panel We have to do some custom cabinetry to make that fit right, but it's going to be really, really nice. He's going to be able to walk up to the control panel, flip a switch, turn the pressure valve, and be making water.
Yep. And electrically, it's 120 volts.
Oh yeah.
And then he can produce that from the 48 volt system as well as the 12 volt system, because we have an inverter on each side, so there's total redundancy there. So even with the solar that can switch to 12, if the lithium bank had a problem, we can transfer the energy over to the 12 volt bank and still make power with the secondary backup alternator.
Oh man, look at this. Yay. Hey, hold on, Danny, hold on. Sure, that's Orion. Man with a hole saw. Danny's making a long hole.
So we got lots going on inside here too. Air conditioning system, we got the thermodynamic system with the air handlers. Here's one of the air handlers here. We had to modify the space because it was too tall, so we dropped the pan down into the electronics bay down below. We have lots of space on this boat, so that's not a problem. This unit's going to supply the entire porthole, forward, aft, as well as the salon. Out of this existing vent, we're going to add one right here to provide better flow. Mike's working on the battery system here. We have, at the moment, we have 6 200 amp hour 24 volt batteries in series for a 48 volt system. There's the potential of adding 2 more, which is where this tray comes in. So if we choose to add 2 more, easy to drop in. We've got the Lynx distributor with the BMS, and of course the Class T fuse, which is very important to break the high current that lithium is capable of delivering. So this is an ABYC recommendation to have Class T fuse in this, especially in a lithium system, and especially in a high voltage system like this. Very, very important.
Can you explain is there a 30-second explanation for what the Lynx distributor does exactly?
It's a fancy bus bar.
Okay, so a way of connecting all the batteries
the Lynx
for
distributor,
even charging and discharging?
The Lynx distributor allows you to marry all of the batteries with equal lengths cable to provide a well-balanced distributed system.
So that the batteries stay in balance
so
with
the
each
batteries
other.
stay in balance,
So
correct.
one battery doesn't come out of balance from
That's
the
right.
rest of the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, cool. And then the smart BMS, that's the battery management system for the entire bank.
That is the battery management, exactly. The new Lynx 500 BMS that came out recently we love it. It's a shunt. It's also a contactor. There's a contactor here. It acts with a charging and discharging channel like the old BMSs did.
Mm-hmm.
But this also has the backup of, if it doesn't like what it sees, it can disconnect the battery bank. So historically the BMSs, like the VE bus BMS, relied on an allow to charge and allow to discharge. And the allow to discharge, for example, would be through a battery protect. It would shut down the battery protect to not allow the batteries to be discharged to nothing, as well as allow to charge. That's controlled through the VE bus, usually with the inverters or other devices. But this one has a backup on top of that. It can disconnect the battery if it doesn't like what it sees.
Is that the contactor that you mentioned?
Contactor, correct.
Okay, so the contactor allows that. And then I see an RBS there. What is that doing exactly?
So that is, again, for ABYC, and there's a bit of debate on this. I like to have a manual switch to shut off the lithium bank. So you need, as per ABYC recommendation, you need a switch to turn off the lithium.
Sure.
And there is a switch in here. You can go through the servo and turn this off
electronically
with the contactor. But should something happen, that you lose power to the servo, a circuit breaker pops or something, you may not have a way of shutting this down.
Sure.
And
So it's a redundant system.
So
if
this,
something else goes
correct.
wrong.
So we can remotely activate the switch, but
Yep.
also we have a mechanical means
Yep.
of shutting it off.
So how do you remotely activate it?
There's going to be a switch.
Just an actual switch over here.
Yeah.
So a physical switch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then of course the 2 Class T fuses, that's going to be down to, there's going to be 2 more of these Lynx distributors down there supplying different loads. So we decided to move them down below just for space consideration here.
And the Class T fuses are specifically to protect the cable, the wire
Correct.
from overload from the battery bank.
That's right.
Okay, so if there's an excessive draw from the inverter or from anywhere in the system, or
Yes, but most likely just a dead short, because a dead
Sure.
short will cause fire.
okay, okay,
But also, the dead short could occur in the inverter.
sure, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Class T fuses for pure safety.
That's right.
Okay, or chill. Cool.
And the reason for Class T fuse is the AIC, is the amperage interrupt current. So a fuse has a lot of different ratings.
Sure.
Of course, there's like, let's say that's a 400 amp Class C fuse. It's designed to open at 400 amps, not quite. There's a bit of a chart.
And when you say open, you mean it'll fail?
Fail,
Yeah,
correct.
okay.
Yeah. So, but smaller fuses, some with a low AIC rating, it will fail, but what with systems
Not
with a lot
fully?
of energy, not fully, it's actually going to arc across.
Sure,
So the
okay.
current is still going to be allowed to flow through with a dead short.
Sure.
The current can flow through and across.
So the
fuse.
Class T and
The
that specific fuse is really what needs to be a part of the system. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So this is designed to not allow the arcing to happen.
Yeah. Okay, so down here we have a lot of other stuff going on with the AC, just running the ducting and the cooling lines from the system that we'll get Andre to give us a more in-depth view on. But right here, this is usually a seated desk space that we have Frank converting over to drawers. So if you come down here, he's currently framing it up, and so matching all the veneers and the trim pieces so that there'll be a pair of drawers here that matches this and just looks like it's from the factory. And then next up is on this shelf right here, there's going to be an additional drawer set built that, actually that might even be his mark line, but it's going to be another drawer that comes up to just below the window with a shelf, just because this is otherwise kind of a little bit of a dead space. It's a good shelf, but people want a drawer there. Separate them. Okay, good.
So up top we were looking at the two Class T fuses. There's a cable that's going to come here to power these two remote Lynx distributors. This switch right here is a switch to turn off the inverter. It's really nice, and a recommendation by ABYC to have a means of shutting off the DC power to an inverter if you need to service it. It's also nice to be able to do resets and things like that. So here's the remote battery switch for one of the inverters, and then there's going to be another one for the 230 volt inverter. And then we have two distributors remotely mounted here for our 48 volt power distribution.
So I was here at the studio getting some work done, and I hear that the inverter had gotten dropped off and that they have to use a forklift to move this thing. And I laughed, and then I could hear the forklift up, moving. I thought they were joking. They were not joking. They literally did need to use the forklift to load this inverter onto the boat. That's completely mad. I have never seen more than, I think, like a Victron 4,000 watt inverter. So 15,000 watts is completely crazy. And he has two other inverters that are going on this boat that is currently being done. And that's powering like different voltage systems for different things. And it's going to be like the AC and maybe the watermaker and the induction cooktop on like a 220 style one, where other things are 110. I don't know. I'm probably making a mess out of that. We'll get Andre on to explain that.
All right, so today I was tasked with trying to get this very big and heavy inverter put into this compartment. And you know, there's lots of ways to do that, but I tried to think of all the little details of what I'm trying to go for, not just hold it in there, but this thing generates some heat as well. And so when it generates the heat, I want to have airflow as much as I can. So I didn't want to seal up the back side of that. I wanted air to be able to go flowing around that frame. Also built the frame out of aluminum because aluminum is a heat sink, so wherever it has the heat up against it, it will dissipate heat as well. We're going to put some blower fans in here, so the blower fans will circulate the air and keep it cool. The other thing I was trying to do is, because it's so heavy and because it's so far up in the hole, is I try to ease the installation as much as I possibly can when it comes to something like this. So right now we have some cardboard protecting the furniture, and then we have some wood on the bed and a old towel on the bed to make sure I don't mess that up. And the idea is that I put a couple of plastic stops and ramps in the center of that, and there's some standoffs on the back of this. And so the idea is that it won't be easy, but it will slide in, and as we're sliding it uphill, once it gets past those plastic stops, it'll catch, and then that will stop it from sliding back down that slope while we get the screws in. So to ease the installation, that's what we're going to do. The other thing is to hold up the top half up in there, we went ahead and used a heavy-duty battery strap to go up and over the whole unit so that someone didn't have to get up in there to get the screws to the back side of this where they're inaccessible. So it's going to have screws going right through the frame and a strap going over the top of it. Screws going down into the double thickened epoxy at the top with a shelf on it anyway, so it's all going to be down pressure. There's also another screw and a tab going in through another thickened epoxy area of the boat. So this frame is strong enough that I would not be worried about it coming out even in an inversion, which I'm sure they don't want to happen. That's it. Thank you.
Sweet.
It's that easy.
Guys, it has been such a pleasure working with this Leopard 50. So in the next episode, we're going to learn why the mast on this brand new 50 had to come down. We're going to see about this crazy 4,000 watt solar panel setup that it has, and making the frame and seeing that frame go up the down legs, the shower that's built into the down legs happen. We're going to see more on the inverter along with the other inverters and get that interview with the boat owners and get to ask them a bunch of questions that I have about what made them do the things that they're doing on this boat, how these things came to be. I'm really looking forward to it. Please like, comment, subscribe, any of those things if you're finding this content helpful, because that really helps our little young baby channel out. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Check below in the description also for links to things and tools that the yacht rigger likes to use around the yard that keeps our boats afloat. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you all next time on episode 13 of the On Deck channel.